Good evening, everyone. I am Duncan Donutside,
And I am Hager the Horrible.
and this is A Spirited Endeavor.
Indeed.
All right, so it's gonna be a fun night. You know, we've done a lot of whiskeys from like all around the world.
Yep.
We've done some Japanese, we've done some Australian, we've done some American, obviously, and then you know a lot of countries out there. Or there's distilleries popping up in several countries outside of of the usual whiskey
Yeah.
um, uh, hubs
Yep.
that are putting out some pretty amazing stuff. Belgium has them, Germany, and we're starting to see them in of course Australia, New Zealand, and where Iceland has one.
Yeah.
And what we're really excited about is that we found some that are Scandinavian. So we have two tonight that are Scandinavian. One of them is the Teerenpeli Kaski. No. And that's Finnish whiskey. It's a Finnish single malt. And then we have the Mackmyra first edition, and that is a Swedish whiskey, and that is also a single malt. And what's really interesting about these, our third, we might as well put on the third one too, is Highland Park Magnus to go with the Viking theme that we have going on tonight. I think we were pretty subtle about it.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right. So the what's interesting about the Finnish whiskey and the Swedish whiskey is that these are all Swedish barley, Finnish barley. The Swedish, the Mackmyra, has it uses Swedish oak, which is going to be really interesting because the characteristics of that oak are very different than anything else that we tried here in the United States or Europe or the Southern European.
Yeah.
This is an area where it gets a lot of cold, a lot of snow, midnight sun, and all of that influences the oak.
Well, that brings up another point, which is, most Scotch uses aged or previously used barrels. Whereas this one, they're fresh barrels and it's a completely different oak. So I expect a very different flavor from the aging process.
Absolutely. Well, it starts off with first fill bourbon casks, and then they transfer that into a Swedish charred oak.
Yeah.
And I don't think it has an age statement, but it's got to be at least 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I would think so.
They're new distilleries. Mackmyra was founded in 1999,
Mm-hmm.
and Teerenpeli was founded in 1995.
Okay.
Still a little older than some of the distilleries in the United States.
Yeah. Well, especially any that do single malt.
Yeah, agreed. Now we came upon that one in Colorado.
Yeah. Begins with an S.
Stranahans.
Yep, Stranahans.
And that was amazing. And it's really interesting to see other countries, their version of single malt.
Absolutely. Well, and the thing that we found with the Stranahans was because it was aged here in the States, that aging didn't take as long as it does in Scotland, and the flavors were imparted a little differently than they would be in Scotland. I'm curious to see what we get with these ones based on the climate and the conditions where they're aged.
For sure. Now they're both pretty stout. So the Mackmyra, I believe, is 46%. 46% ABV. It's small casks, 45%, and they say this one's dedicated to the pioneers. Now this one is supposed to be according right on the bottle, a hint of vanilla, dried fruit, small handmade cask stored with care. Our first edition has a spicy aroma and a fruity, elegant flavor with hints of citrus and caramel. It's not chill filtered and contains no additives.
I expect that to be stout, especially small cask.
And being Swedish oak and Swedish barley, it should have some very interesting flavors.
I think so.
Yeah, that one's gonna be stout. Now the Teerenpeli, this one is 43% alcohol by volume. This also uses Finnish barley, and this is aged in sherry casks.
That's interesting.
So it's going to have that sherry finish, that fruitiness, or at least that's what I expect to find out of it.
I would think so. I would hope that we get some different flavors from the barley, being from their own soil. We've run into that before specifically with peat, but with barley as well. Some of the distilleries that we deal with, the Bruichladdich, for example, is really big on where does the barley come from. The different farms and locations have a little bit different flavor. I'm curious to see what that brings to the table on this one.
Yeah, absolutely, Hagrid. I think that's going to be something to really try. Now the Highland Park with the
Yes.
Magnus. Now this one wasn't even very expensive. It was $44 for the bottle.
Mhm.
This one is going to be bold and smoky, and they put a lot of just like the rough-hewn Orkney punch to it. And this one is 40% alcohol by volume, so not crazy.
Yeah.
And Highland Park, they're one of our favorites, and I'm really anxious to try that one. That's one we haven't tried to this point.
Looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, you want to get into it?
Absolutely.
I think we're going to start off with the yes,
Yes. Okay.
Teerenpeli.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah.
I'm glad
I've
you're
been
saying
practicing.
it. Because I'd butcher that.
Yeah. Now this one is really dark. I mean, it's really, you can see the sherry influence in it. It's like a really, from the
Yeah.
bottle, it's like a deep amber color.
No, that
It's
looks.
got a little reddish tint to it.
Yeah, it's what you would expect.
So yeah, you would being the temperature swings and the the cold, the hot that they get in their summers, the midnight sun and everything too. This is really going to be. I expect this one to be really kind of in your face.
Well, it's funny. I mean, just having poured that without even bringing it to my nose, I can smell it. It's pretty strong as far as the aroma is concerned. Beautiful color, and really nice.
Yeah, nice legs on it too.
Yeah.
I could tell that's going to have a long lingering finish from the oils in that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh wow.
Oh yeah.
Definitely pick up the sherry influence.
Yeah, it's definitely some dark fruits in that.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. I'm picking up some really interesting stuff in there. See if I can try to describe it. Certainly the sherry, the dark fruits. I am picking up like caramel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting the caramel notes in there. Not much in the way of like alcohol burn.
No, there really isn't.
Yeah, that's maybe a little pear.
I'm getting almost kind of a nut.
Yeah, there's a little nuttiness going on in there.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe like a little walnut or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, I'm excited to try this one.
That's a really pleasant nose, actually.
Yeah. That is that's quite good. That just sort of just plays with the nostrils and
Yeah. Interesting.
All right.
Well, cheers.
Skull. Very different. Wow, very different. That hits me completely different than any other
Wow.
alcohol I've ever tried. That is like, it just like clung to the roof of my mouth.
Yeah, that's new.
That is really new. I mean, it
wonder
just
why.
it just clung there. I'm really tasting the nuttiness in that. I'm really
agree.
getting like that walnut.
Yep. that really came forward on the taste. More so than the nose.
Yeah, that's different.
It still has those sherry aspects to it, but not in the stereotypical way that you would expect out of a Scotch.
It reminds me of fruitcake. Not like the citron kind of stuff.
No,
but like a
legit.
dark cherry, nutty fruitcake.
Yep. Wow, that is not what I expected it would be. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, very long, lingering finish on this one. Yeah, we called that one. That is the more I drink that, the more it reminds me of like a brandy soaked fruitcake.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just shocked by this one, actually.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect.
It's pretty smooth, actually, as far as the ABV is concerned. The barrel spice isn't especially heavy.
No.
A lot of what I was expecting out of this is it's pleasant. I mean, it's just a nice, pleasant whiskey.
Yeah, I'm really digging that.
And I like the flavors. I like the combination of flavors. I like the fruit aspect as well as that kind of there's definitely, like you said, a walnut aspect to it as well. And they work really well together.
Man, I'm digging that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the more I drink that, the more and more I get that intense fruitiness.
Yeah.
That nuttiness. That just keeps coming forward. I'm getting a little bit of the vanilla and a little bit of that in there too, which is making it taste more and more like a fruitcake to me.
Yeah. Wow. So what's availability on this? I would imagine these are harder to find here in the States.
Actually, I've found that in a couple places.
Really?
So I got this bottle at Turtle Creek, but I've also seen it at like one of the other local stores here.
Wow.
I didn't find it over at Cork and Keg, but they don't have a whole lot of the international.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I have not seen this one out my way, but that's I like that.
Yeah, but I found this one. It's pretty relatively available. And my Viking is rusty, and it wasn't even very expensive. I think I paid $50 for that bottle, maybe $60. So I mean, it's pretty
Either way,
affordable.
that's a good price for that.
Yeah, that was yeah. This is tasty.
It's really pleasant.
Yeah,
and it's not dry either. You know,
No.
you'd think with the sherry influence, sometimes you get that dry note or that dry aspect to it. This definitely doesn't have that.
not even a little bit.
No.
Nope.
Doesn't club you over the head with the sherry, but it's definitely present. I like that one.
Yes, I give this one 3 yars.
Yarr. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm.
Fabulous. Okay.
That's nice.
The Mackmyra. Now I am so curious about this one.
Yeah, of the two, we expected this one was going to be pretty stout.
Now this also comes in a
Uh-oh.
liter bottle. Oh,
We have a cork that is not intact.
oh, geez.
Well,
That's
I don't want to go digging. Do you have a cork source for it? In
I
the
do.
meantime, I will put on my monkey suit and start doing my dance.
all right.
Awesome sauce. That's been known to happen. That, unfortunately, is the byproduct of using real cork. Which brings up a really good topic for discussion, actually, which is care of cork. So, you know, when it comes to wine, for example, wine bottles are supposed to be stored on their side, and that keeps the cork wet, prevents it from drying out, which is what's happened here. Whiskey, on the other hand, you don't want to lay the barrel on its side, because the whiskey will actually damage the cork with direct contact for prolonged periods. So what you want to do with a whiskey bottle is keep it standing upright like this, but every once in a while just tip it to wet the cork. And that will prevent the cork from drying out, as we've seen here. I've had this happen on a couple bottles before. More than likely, it's been sitting in this position for a good long time, and the cork's just simply dried out. Our Viking corkscrew. Hopefully the rest of it seems like it's moving around.
Yep. That's pretty.
It's dried out pretty good.
Be careful. You don't want cork to get in there and put
Yeah.
cork in there.
Might be filtering that one, straining it.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. Coffee filter time.
Yep. That's easy. Easy enough. But you know, you see a lot of them. For example, the last one we just had, this is using a synthetic cork, and that's why a lot of companies are moving in that direction. Because again, with a synthetic cork, you don't have to worry about tipping the bottle every now and then. But the main thing is, do not let your, don't store this on its side, because the alcohol will eat away at that cork. But on the other hand, if you've got a bottle that you've had around for a while, tip it every now and then to wet that cork, and that way it doesn't dry out. But as Mark mentioned, if you do have an issue like what we've run into here, where the cork ends up in the bottle, you do not want to drink that. You don't want to ingest that cork if you can avoid it. So what we're going to do in this case is we've got a nice little coffee filter, and we're going to go ahead and filter this out, and that way we can drink some whiskey. Okay. That is skill right there. That is mad skills. Didn't even spill any. Okay. All right, so cork malfunction, it happens. So, color. Don't forget your mic. It's all good. Actually, it's got a really nice color to it. Good oils, too. So they say on the bottle, non-chill filtered and natural color, so nothing added is the way they state it.
Yeah, that's got a beautiful, honey lemon color.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really
a little
nice.
bit of a blush to it, too.
Yeah, we noticed that in the bottle, actually.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I wonder if that's from the type of oak that they're using.
Ooh,
That is very different
That
aroma.
is very different. You know, it reminds me a little bit of like wet cardboard.
So this isn't, there's no sherry influence or anything like that. This is just a straight up single malt that's been aged in barrels that are made of an oak that we're not familiar with. So we're going to see aspects from the distilled whiskey itself, the spirits, and then whatever that barrel brings. But it's certainly a very different nose. And
Very
yeah,
different
I guess
nose. Yeah,
wet cardboard is kind of
there. Now I'm also getting some fruit in that. Like apple, pear. Definitely the lighter fruits. Nothing heavy in that. I'm not picking up any cherry or anything like that, which I wouldn't expect. From something that isn't without cherry influence.
And interestingly enough, there really isn't much in the way of alcohol vapor on the nose.
No, not for something that's 46% ABV.
Yeah, especially considering you can assume this is a fairly young whiskey based on the fact that it's not age statement. Yeah, I mean, I could put my nose right in that and really interesting. I'm just not getting typical flavor, typical nose like I would get from from a Scotch. I agree. Completely different animal.
Yeah.
Animal.
Yeah, definitely getting definitely getting those fruits. I mean, I'm getting the pear. I'm getting
green apple, I could say.
Green apple? Yeah, maybe some apricot.
No?
Okay. Skull.
Skull?
Okay. All right, now on the tongue, on the tip of the tongue, I'm getting. I got a little bit of fruit. I got a little bit of fruit, and then it just quickly just went into spice, and then it went back into fruit.
I'm getting vanilla. Holy crap, I'm getting vanilla.
I'm getting a lot of vanilla in the back end
The
too.
barrel spice wasn't quite as obtrusive as I was expecting with this. Because one of the things they mentioned was that it's very strong flavor impact from this particular type of oak, especially since, again, this wasn't used previously for bourbon or anything like that. This is just oak from their area that's been charred, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's charred Swedish oak.
Yeah, I didn't find the barrel influence to be off-putting at all. I expected it to just kind of smack me around a little.
Yeah, and I'm not getting any smokiness. I'm not getting any like char flavoring in that. I am getting lots and lots of vanilla now. That is like a serious vanilla bomb.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. That oak.
It took me a minute to get to it, but it's there. And now
Yeah.
all I taste is vanilla.
And no cardboard on the taste, fortunately. Not that I've made a habit out of licking cardboard, but I would assume that this does not taste like cardboard.
Okay. Yeah, more and more vanilla. It's just
Yeah.
like vanilla after vanilla after vanilla.
It's thinner mouthfeel than the other one, too. I
It
mean,
is.
it's got good oils, but it's a little thinner on the palate. Yeah, that second sip, a little bit more on the citric kind of stuff, that green apple specifically.
Mm.
But right up front, as soon as I taste it, I get the vanilla, and then followed immediately by that green apple kind of flavor.
I'm getting like a like almost like a red licorice, like a Twizzler flavor.
Yeah.
In there.
I'm getting that through the sinuses.
Yeah, through the sinuses. It's coming through though. But I thought that was kind of interesting too. It's like a little raspberry
Yeah.
or strawberry.
Everybody's asking about the wet cardboard, and yeah, no kidding, definitely wet cardboard.
Yeah, wet cardboard.
Not wet dog. Very different deal.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah, it's kind of a musty almost.
a little musty, but it's also got that pulpiness
Yeah.
that if you get like a little sawdust maybe, and you
Yeah.
get a little wet,
I wonder if that's particular to that type of oak, maybe.
maybe. My guess is that would be the oak influence.
Yeah, because man, that's right up front.
Well, a few alcohol vapors on that one.
I like the taste on that though. I like the flavor.
Yeah, I do too. That one's rather pleasant.
Yeah. Yeah, again, not what I was expecting. I was really thinking that the barrel spice was just going to be over the top.
Well, I mean, it's young. So I
definitely
would
pick up on
expect that it would have, a little bit of to it,
Yeah.
and I'm not really getting that.
No, I got a nice pleasant burn on the tip of my tongue. Not getting anything really as far as reflux or anything on the throat so much, just a nice warmth.
Yeah.
But no, that's not off-putting at all.
No,
I like the
I'm
vanilla.
enjoying this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both of them actually. I mean, I really expected these to just be very aggressive.
Yeah, the cork is disappointing though.
Mm.
But we'll power past it.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what a little water would do to that.
Well, with the oils, that's a really good point.
Doesn't change the nose appreciably.
No.
All right. I just took an axe to the nostrils.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That really punched up the spice on
It
that.
really did.
Oh, oh.
So the barrel spice was present but not in your face. It's in your face now.
It's in your face
There's
now.
no doubt that oak is really strong now.
Yeah, that is a. Yeah, that is a
Wow.
battle axe right to the face.
Yeah. Well, all right. If that's the case, yeah, that definitely brought up the oak.
Mm.
A little more? You good?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah,
You know-
no appreciable difference on the nose. Man, that really did ramp up the spice though. Holy cow.
You know what I like about these two distilleries too is they believe in in sustainable sourcing.
Mm-hmm.
They're they've got great statements. They've got great backstories. They're new. They're up and coming. They're trying something bold. They're putting out a single malt in in areas that aren't Scotland.
Yeah.
I love distilleries that are doing that now.
They're passionate. You know, both of them come across as being very passionate. And, you know, as we discussed before we went on air, it takes a lot to open a new distillery. You know, these guys basically purchase all the equipment, the stills, they have to staff the place, they have to buy the grain, so on and so forth. They're making a huge investment, but they can't realize the outcome of that investment for years while this stuff ages. They don't know what's going to happen inside that cask. It may turn into garbage.
Yeah, it might be total crap. That it came out and it came out this well. Means that there was somebody with some passion and some knowledge behind this.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of the older distilleries that we deal with, especially in Scotland, they've been around long enough to work through that. They have a bad batch back in the 1700s, all right, that's fine. They've got time to work it out. These guys only been around since the 90s, and the fact that they're putting out a product that's this good is very impressive. And yeah, I agree. They definitely have a passion for it.
Well, they saw that there wasn't a lot of whiskey distillers within their countries,
Mm-hmm.
within their areas. So they took it upon themselves to build something and bring the taste of that area, into into these bottles and out to the world.
Well, and as someone who really enjoys Scotch, I mean, Scotch is kind of it's my wheelhouse. It's what I personally enjoy more than most. It's nice to see other people's interpretation of it. I've really enjoyed that aspect of it, whether it's been American or Scandinavian, whatever. It's been very interesting to get each place's kind of local flavor and their take on that particular beverage.
Yeah, and there's some interesting distilleries that are popping up all over the world, like we mentioned before. I mean, we've tried some Australian here. I've got some New Zealand in the house, the Japanese, and they're all bringing this passion and this love of Scotch and saying, okay, well, here we're going to bring something new into this world, and that's just amazing to me.
Absolutely.
I love this.
It's the freedom that's associated with Scotch, even though that you can't really call this Scotch, but it's the same process, it's the same type of grain, but each one of them is its own unique personality. It's not the same flavor across the board. They're all Scotches, but they're all very different. They're all whiskeys based on Scotch.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we got one more to try.
Oh boy, do we.
Here we do. Now
I'm looking
this.
forward to this.
All right. So this is the Highland Park Magnus. This one is going to be bold and smoky and peaty, and this is an Arcadian, so it's the northernmost point of Scotland, or the northernmost distillery in Scotland. So according to the what's written on the bottle here, the single malt bears the soul of our Viking ancestors in the name of just one of our founders, Magnus Unison, and enjoy the whiskey crafted the old way by generations of Vikings. Skog.
Awesome.
All right, the cork worked.
And we've enjoyed pretty much everything they've brought. I don't think we've given any of theirs a negative review.
The 15-year was the weakest of the bunch.
Yeah, it wasn't that. It just wasn't as strong as the two that kind of bookend it. The 12 versus the 18.
Yep. Now this is, this is beautiful. I mean, all of their whiskey. Well, yeah. I mean, most of their whiskeys are chill filtered.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to strip some of the oils and stuff out of that. It still has decent legs on it. It's a little thinner than the others that we tried tonight. And but it's got a beautiful honey lemon color.
Yeah.
And oh yeah,
Ooh.
yeah. Now
we're back to Scotland.
Now we're back to Scotland. This is smoky. This is peaty.
Yeah. I love that the peat is a bit different for them than it is for like Islay.
It's the truth. Not sure if their peat was actually from Orkney, but
there's something different.
There's something different about it. It doesn't have those heather notes like we see with the Isla peat.
Yeah, absolutely. Any of them really.
Yeah. Now the Orkney Islands, I mean, it's desolate. It's it's rough. It's stormy. It's cold. It's craggly, and these they take great pride in giving putting in that essence into their product line. Now which is so funny. With the Highland Park, you go on the other side of that. You got the Scapa, which is.
Oh man, totally different animal.
Totally different animal. So mellow. It's a sailboat on an ocean.
Yeah.
Where this is a Viking longship, in a raiding party.
I will say though, it handles itself differently than say a Talisker Storm. A Talisker Storm they really identify with as you said, being right on the ocean, really aggressive and rough and the train. This, on the other hand, has aspects of that, but it also has a little bit more, I don't know, what's the way to put it? It's more refined, I think. The Talisker is pretty aggressive and just blunt. This, on the other hand, I think it has some of those components, but it tends to be a little bit more refined with the way it handles it.
Yeah, it seems to be, this is going to be probably the wrong thing to say, but it seems like it's more intentional.
Agreed. Yes, absolutely.
They're and while Talisker, they have a clear vision of what they're doing.
Yeah, and I enjoy what they do.
It seems like this was, there was a brainchild out there, and then they got it.
Yeah, I love the nose on this one though.
Yeah, that's
It is very specific to this distillery. Oh wow.
Yeah.
It is subtler in the mouth than it is on the nose.
It's the truth. I expected this to be bowled over for this, to be pillaged by this, and it's
subtle.
It's subtle. There's
nice vanilla.
Yeah, the very nice vanilla. There's a lot of complexity going on in here.
Wow.
It's not as peaty and smoky as I expected
No,
it to
not
be.
at all.
But I've tasted that influence in it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a slight earthy aspect to it from the peat, but there isn't really much in the way of smoke. You don't get the campfire licking an ashtray, none of that.
Nope. It's not a ham in your glass.
Wow, that is just crazy. The mouth, yeah, the taste is very different from the nose.
Now it is only 40% ABV, so that may be a play in this, but man, this is mellow.
Mm-hmm.
This is much mellower than I expected it to be.
This to me,
It is a marshmallow.
yeah, it's fairly thin on the palate. It's not really oily or viscous or anything of that nature.
Nope. It gives you a bunch of flavor and then boom, it's gone,
Yeah,
and it's moved on.
yeah, it is. It's a little thin. I like it though. I like
do
that
too.
vanilla aspect, and
Yeah, for something that was only $40 a bottle.
yeah, I'd spend $40 on that.
Yeah, it's been $40 on that easy.
Yeah, this, I will say, I would like to see what this at 46% ABV would be. If you get a little bit more intensity. This is actually a nice sipper. I mean, for aggressive as the nose was, and again, aggressive is a relative term, especially compared to some of the Islas like we were discussing, but I mean, based on the nose, you'd expect this to just, beat you over the head, but it's so subtle. Wow, I'm kind of another surprise.
I know. I expected a broadsword to the tongue, and this is just. It's subtle. This is just subtle and pleasant, and it builds, but it's not, laying bricks. It's, laying sediment.
I think this would be, oddly, despite the nose, this would be really suitable for somebody just entering the Scotch whiskey arena.
I agree with that.
This is kind of a step up from a blend as far as the amount of flavor, but none of the flavors are going to be challenging compared to what you get in a blend. A blend generally has a lot of that vanilla flavor. This presents that, but it presents a little bit more.
Yeah, you could spend a little bit of time and a couple of classes trying to figure this one out a little bit.
Yeah, there is a little bit of a citric note to it, just slight around the edges.
Yeah,
I'm Didn't get until maybe 2 sips in.
Yeah, I'm not picking that up, or at least not yet. I am getting a little. I am getting that barrel spice in there. On the back end, I'm getting a little barrel spice.
Yeah, a little bit.
But it mellows out like right away.
Yeah,
it's like a flash and then it's done.
Yeah, and that's most of the flavors actually. This does not linger. Not in my experience. It doesn't cling to the palate for any long period of time. It's there and it's kind of gone. It's a nice, refreshing whiskey. It's not one that's going to get in the way if you're going to eat a meal or something like that. Have a whiskey before your meal and it kind of throws off the flavor of the meal. This is not going to do that. Yeah, that's wow. All three of these tonight have been very surprising.
Okay. Well, I mean, where do you think they fall on our rating scale?
All right. Well,
so the Teerenpeli.
I'm going to give that one a 3.5 for now. And the reason for that is, while I appreciate that what they've done here, and look, again, for a young distillery, they've done a hell of a job here. Got to give them lots of credit. The sherry aspect of it's very pleasant. It's not one-dimensional though. There's definitely some other things going on, like with the walnut aspects and whatnot. Given a little time, I might bump that up to a 4. But I think, considering some of the other whiskeys we've tried, I think that fits right at about a 3.5 for me.
Yeah, and I'm kind of with you on that one. I'm thinking 3 to 3.5. It is absolutely one that I have enjoyed. I don't know if I'll keep it in my bar,
Mm-hmm.
but I will finish that bottle.
Oh, absolutely. It's a good
Oh, yeah.
experience. There's no doubt about that. Like I said, there's a lot of other whiskeys out there.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Mackmyra.
Well, I'll let you talk about it while I take a quick look.
I'm giving that one a 3. I think that is a good solid 3. It brings something very interesting to the table. The way that the Swedish oak and everything plays with that is really, really interesting. It's unlike any other whiskey I've had. Maybe that's why the reason why I'm being conservative with the score on it. Because I don't know if I figured that one out yet.
And that's why I wanted to have another sip, because I'm kind of on the border of doing a 3 or a 3.5. I like what it brings to the table. I guess the problem for me is that I had this expectation built up based on what they provide in print, and I really expected this wallop of just oak overkill, and it really didn't present that. That said, I enjoy what it did bring to the table. It just, I don't know that it really set itself apart enough for me to go too high on the score. I think I'm going to side with you on this one. I'm going to go with a 3.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's right. I think that will change the more I visit it.
I agree with that. Well,
You know?
again, we were just opening the bottle, hadn't been exposed to oxygen. So, these will change over time, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to throw that in a decanter for now. Okay, the Highland Park, the Magnus. Yeah, right?
So, again, Highland Park has got its own profile, and that nose for me is just, that screams Highland Park. Every time I smell that one aroma, it's very distinctive to them. The only thing that I wish with this one was that I got more of that taste.
Yeah.
I wish I got more of the nose on the palate. That's the only thing that that was a little off for me. That said, it's a very pleasant whiskey. I'm going to go with a 3 on this one. Honestly, I think I'd prefer the 12 year.
I have to agree with you. Now, I enjoyed that one very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that one's a good, solid, middle of the road whiskey. I think that's a great one, like you mentioned, that if you want to start someone off on a whiskey journey and want to give them something a little more complex than, say, like a Highland, like a typical Highland.
Well, the Glenmoe being
The Glenmoe,
a good example.
the Glenmoe. If they were to enjoy the Glenmoe, I might veer them over
Absolutely.
to this.
I agree wholeheartedly.
But I mean, would I veer them over to this, or would I move them over to the Highland Park 12? I
think the 12 actually offers more.
I think it does.
And it's a little. I love the nose on that.
I love the note. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I wish that was an air freshener for my car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seriously. I mean, it's got a beautiful nose to it and everything. But then when I expected peat and I expected smoke, and when they're telling me that it's unapologetically these things and it's not, then I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah, I agree. It's in a lot of respects it's similar to the Glenmorangie, but I think the Glenmorangie is a little more viscous than this was. This was a little thin, but pleasant nonetheless. It just doesn't live up to the nose.
Now the Highland Park, they have a cask strength coming out after the first of the year, and it's going to be it's non-chill filtered and no color added, so it's going to be completely natural, and it's going to be a cask strength, and that's going to be freaking amazing. That's going to be one that's really that I'm going to go to the ends of the earth to try to get that one.
Yeah, that's if anything's going to give us an idea of the flavor from the stills themselves and the grains that they're using, that's going to be it. And I'm really curious to see what's different there. The rest of it, it's aging in the barrels and so on and so forth, but with that, that's just raw, unadulterated spirit straight out of the stills. This is what you're going to get.
I know. I'm so excited
man.
to see what it's like without any type of filtering or
No, exactly.
yeah, what you get out of the stills is what you get.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun to try.
That's going to be educational because, again, we enjoy what they put out. We've had some fantastic whiskeys from them. But you wonder how much of that flavor that you're getting is from the spirit versus the aging and things of that nature. And, boy, that's going to be a hell of a way to find out.
For sure. Okay, well, we got some, we got a couple episodes coming up. Now, if you're not familiar with this, we're putting out, our episodes, we're doing our live
Yep.
feed on Saturday nights, but we're also doing what we call priming the pump episodes.
Yep.
And we're also doing like a Whiskey Wednesday. And so we got our first episode of that coming out next week.
That's right. So the idea of priming the pump is they're really short episodes, generally about 10, maybe 15 minutes at the absolute most. And the idea is we just take one whiskey, we do a review of that whiskey, give you some tasting notes and a score. And it's meant to be more informative than anything else. By comparison, Whiskey Wednesday is on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. That is basically just a good time for us to sit there and discuss different topics that may apply to whiskey.
Absolutely. We usually pull in our brother Henry,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll do a roundtable on a Zoom meeting and talk these things through. And those are going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You're going to find these on our YouTube channel.
Yep.
So go to YouTube and just type in the Spirited Endeavor, and you'll see a lot of our episodes in there. I don't think we have them all up there, but we have a good selection up there, and we'll as we post new ones, they're going to go up there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll definitely put notifications on Facebook when these go live. But I expect these again post every Wednesday, and they should be a hoot.
Absolutely. Now next week, Saturday, we're going to actually be indoors because we're going to do a little mixology here, and we're going to go old-fashioned.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
So
looking forward
we're
to
going to be
this.
mixing old-fashions, and that should be a lot of fun.
And this was actually an idea from one of our subscribers who, again, appreciate you mentioning it, Ron. Definitely something I've been looking forward to. And, we'll go with old fashions, and maybe later on in the year again, perhaps we'll do some hot toddies or something of that nature. That may end up being a Wednesday deal.
Absolutely. Yeah, maybe throw a Godfather in there. Maybe,
Oh, yeah.
maybe come up with something completely new. So, we're really excited to do that as well. And when the purpose of that is we're going to take the traditional whiskey, we're going to make it up, and then we're going to look at it with maybe some others, and see kind of what we can come up with.
I think there's going to be some interesting combinations there, some that might surprise some folks.
And we still have a barrel.
Ooh, that's right. It's almost that time.
It's almost that time. So we're going to do a Christmas episode, and we're going to break out the barrel and kind of see where we're at.
That's right. And for those of you who weren't tuned in at that point in time, basically, we have our own barrel, and we took some of our favorite whiskeys, put them into the barrel to age them a little further and impart additional flavor from this barrel. So what we're doing is every 3 months or so, we're tapping into the barrel to see what's happening to the flavor and see if maybe we need to tweak it. So when we sample that could go really well or really badly. We may be grinning or flopping around on the floor. It could go either direction.
Yep, so that'll be an episode coming up, so be sure to look out for it. Leave your comments. Tell us what you're drinking. Tell us, if you have any suggestions about doing one of these. Please, get it into us. We're always curious. We love to interact with everybody, and this is something that we started just to have fun, but we also wanted to connect with people, and so far our community is starting to grow, and we love chatting with you guys.
Absolutely. No, that's I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but the whole COVID was kind of the reason behind this. I wanted something that was going to give people something to kind of BS about and whatnot during the whole COVID lockdown. And it's obviously gone well beyond that, and I'm glad that it has. It's been a real hoot, and hopefully it lightens your day up a little bit. I know it does for us.
Absolutely, and then we also be pulling some special guests. So we'll let you know what's going on with that as well. All right, guys. Well, I think that's about it for tonight.
I think so.
All right. Well, I had so much fun.
Yeah, it's a good night, man.
Yeah. Now I've got to pull the fleas out of my beard. Okay. All right, guys. Have a good night.
Take care, everyone.